Welcome to the Black Father's table, where fathers restore, renew, and revive. This is the Black Father's table, where we rise, where we're able, breaking cycles, build.
Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening. I need y'all to pull up a chair for me real quick. Hey, let me ask you something. How do you co-parent with someone that you really don't get along with? I mean, not just disagree with. I'm talking about tension, arguments, miscommunication, different households, different rules. And right in the middle of all of it is your child. So the real question is peaceful co-parenting even possible? Or are we just trying to survive? Tonight, we're not just giving you theory, we're giving you truth. So welcome back to another episode of the Black Father's Table. This is a space where real conversations happen. No filters, no pretending, just truth. In this conversation right here, this is exactly why I brought my brother to the table. Mr. Theron Hobbs, founder of Unbroken. My brother, welcome to the table. Catch up with everyone. You're welcome. Catch up with everyone and let them know who you are and what you've been up to and what you're doing.
As you said, my name is Theron Hobbs. Founded Dad's Unbroken, which is for fathers who are divorced fathers and unwed fathers. To have them teach them how to stay engaged in their kids' lives. As fathers, you know how it's tough to stay engaged in your kids' life. Like you just mentioned, when you and the co-parent don't really get along, but you're fighting to stay in their lives, and it's tough. And so I teach fathers how to stay in their kids' lives, and have a father first mindset. Make sure that it's centered around the child and not about you and the other parent. And so that makes it a little bit easier to stay engaged.
I got it. Thank you for that. Hey, well, let's go ahead and get right into it. What is co-parenting really like?
Co-parenting. First off, for co-parenting, you're trying to balance, being on the same page in two different households. So that's the thing. You're trying to stay balanced, and you're trying to make sure that the kids are taken care of, that they're emotionally and mentally stable, that you both are present, almost not pretty much try to be equally present. And what I've learned, mistake that I made early on was not setting boundaries. You got to set boundaries and you got to stick to them. So that's the biggest thing. For my other two kids, I really didn't set boundaries, and we just kind of did it by the seat of our pants, and that was the wrong thing to do. And so there was kind of pretty much no accountability. Because as a father, the thing you try to do is make sure everybody's happy and everything is peaceful. And at the end of the day, there was no peace. There's no peace without any boundaries set, and you holding each other accountable.
I got you. And just if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, what is one of the hardest moments that you had to face in trying to co-parent?
Man, the hardest moments that I've had to face is the untruths. The times when you go to meet the kids, to meet the mother, bring them to you, and she doesn't show up. She goes somewhere else. So you're supposed to meet at 4:00 on Old National, but she shows up at 4:00 on Riverdale Road. And so the kids don't know. They just know 4:00, and they just know that you didn't show up. And so the mothers, they'll just tell them that, hey, your dad didn't show up. He said, I told you he didn't want to spend time with you. He don't love you, don't care about you. So that was a hard thing you have to deal with. So, so it's kind of hard to, as men, or for me, I've never, talk about their mother to them or whatever. So I just try to reassure them that there was a miscommunication, even though that wasn't the case. It was just blatant. It was, intentional to to discredit me as a father. So that's the hard part. And see the disappointment on your kids' face. They're questioning your love for them.
Right. Wow.
And so you got to reassure them. You spend a lot of time reassuring them that you love them and care about them, that you want to spend time with them. That's the thing. So you spend a lot of time doing that, trying to just deprogram them from all the stuff that they've been uploaded with, all the
Right.
negativity and the lies, the untruths that were told about you.
Gotcha. Oh man, I can only imagine. I'm glad I have to go through that. What are fathers dealing with on a daily basis that nobody really talks about?
I guess who deal with the most is what we don't talk about is the emotional side.
Mm-hmm.
You try to hold your emotions in check because you're trying to make sure there's focus on the kids, and you're not sitting there talking about the mom or the things that she did. You're trying to try to keep that father first mindset. Make sure it's focused on the kids, and emotionally, you're missing your kids. You're struggling because you want to be there for them and spend time with them, but you're always spending more time defending yourself than focusing on being a father and
Mm.
spending that quality time with them. You spend more time defending yourself or even trying to defend their mothers. Defend the mother because sometimes the kids they'll see some things at some point because they understand who their father is. So sometimes they'll say something about their mother. You have to defend her to the kids. So it's kind of
Right.
crazy. You end up playing both sides. You're defending yourself. Now you're defending the mother because kids catch on after a while that the mother is playing games. After a
Mm-hmm.
while, it kind of catch on because if they're around you enough, they know who their father is, that they know that you really love them, that you're not going to do anything to jeopardize spending that time with them because it means a lot to both of you.
Right. So and I can understand that. Well, that would make because I know a lot of guys out there are really really trying to do the right thing. And still at the end of the day, they feel like like they're losing. Even I post some videos sometimes, and there's some fathers out there that are in that situation that are really really getting discouraged. So what do you tell them? I mean, how is it? Some tips or something that you can tell them to help them stay on track, even though they're getting a little frustrated the way things are.
Mm. What I did and what I still do. My kids are now. My youngest is 23. My oldest is 33, be 34 next month. What I
Mhm.
did and still do is I text them every day. I send them something encouraging and positive, and I try to talk to each one of them at least once a week. And
Okay.
so I send them text every day. That way they can't say that my father is not engaged with me. I stay engaged with him, and that he's not accessible. I stay accessible because I reach out to them. I call them once a week, each one of them, and I text them every day. Well, at least Monday through Friday, some encouraging messages or scripture or whatever, just to make sure that I keep them uplifted and let them know that I love them. I used to text them as a group, but now I went back to doing it individually
Mhm.
because it makes them feel better. Because sometimes I even send them a different message depending on what they have going on. Because I have
Right.
four girls and a son, and also all of them have different personalities, and all of them are
Right.
going through something different. They have different things going on in their lives. So a lot of times that one message doesn't fit. It's not a fit all thing. So you got to make sure when you know what's going on in their lives, when you engage with them, talk to them once a week or text them throughout the week, then you know what message they kind of need. So that's how I stay engaged with them. I send them a message every day, well, Monday through Friday, and I talk to them once a week.
Okay. And that makes sense. And because I remember you telling me some things like that before, but and I know you've gone through this too. So I want to touch on this if you don't mind. There was a time when you were texting, but you wasn't getting any response. What
Yeah,
was how did you manage to fight that? Because I think a lot of people actually, they're dealing with that in real time. Because of the lies and the untruths that you spoke of earlier. So what kind of advice would you give that father that's reaching out, but because the kids have been soured, you know he's the bad guy and they won't even talk to him.
right. Um, yeah, I went through a period of 4 years where I text and call my daughters. Well, one of them, but my older two, where I went through a period of with one 4 years, the other a couple of years where I text and called them, no response, no
Mm-hmm.
response. Believe me, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, And and then what the tough part is, Randy, is it keeps that anger in you with the mother because
Right.
every time they don't respond, you think about all the stuff that she did. It's like reliving all over again. You get madder and madder and madder. So I had to get to
Mm-hmm.
a point where I had to forgive her, forgive them
Right.
about the things they did, and focus on my kids. And believe me, it got tough some days. I was like, man, fuck them kids. And but I kept texting, kept calling, kept texting, kept calling. Even when they leave messages, even they respond, I just kept doing it. And finally, my younger daughter got with my older two. Well, the second oldest, they're real close because they have similar personalities. And she said, I don't know what your mother's been telling you, but the perception you have of our father, that's not who he is. She said, our father
Mm-hmm.
loves all of us, loves you guys to death, always talking about you, and he really wants to spend time with you. And so I had a conversation with my older two daughters eventually. But what I did first was I wrote them a letter. I wrote a letter
Mm-hmm.
to them saying that if I did anything to hurt you, I apologize to it. I apologize to you, to both of you, and I would love to spend time with you and let you tell me what I did and how we can fix this. I said, "What I'll do whatever it takes to fix it, so we can have our relationship as father and daughter."
Right.
And so when I said, "In your own time, you respond. I'm not rushing. I've not set any time limits on it. You tell me um, what you want to do and how you want to do it." I said, "I'm available. I'm open." And so I sent the letter, I emailed them the letter. Didn't get a response for a while. And then I got a call from my second oldest, the one I hadn't spoken
Mm-hmm.
to in almost 4 years. And we talked. She shared some things and that she was hurt with some things. And some things were not true, but
Mm-hmm.
but I just listened. And I told him,
Right.
I'll let it take long as it needs to take. I'll listen. So I listened. I didn't say not one word. I listened. I just took notes. And I told him, will you give me an opportunity to respond? So I didn't respond right away. I listened the first time. And then
Right.
eventually I came back and I responded and we had a conversation. And so I didn't point the finger or anything. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. So you said this X, Y, Z. So let's work on this. You want to spend time together? So let's spend time together. Want to have a conversation? Let's have conversations. We can talk about anything. I said, but now mind you, be ready for the truth. Because if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Right.
So whatever you can ask me anything, I'm gonna tell you the truth. And so we started having those conversations. And they asked stuff about their mother and asked stuff about our relationship, and I told them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And they were fine with it. And they said, you know what, I kind of figured some things because some things didn't add up. The math
Right.
wasn't mathing because and so then they started ranting about, my mother's crazy. My mother, I said, hey. I said, not that I'm disagreeing with you, but don't talk about your mother like that.
Right.
So we started talking about things, and we're still in the process of healing because it's a lot of stuff. My daughters right now, older two, they're 33, one about to be 34, the other was 31.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because it's just over 30-year period of time. So there's a lot
Right.
of healing going on and a lot of back and forth and stuff like that. And so, but we're communicating. They call. My oldest actually is pregnant, my first grandson.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a process, but you can't give up. I mean, it's tough when you reaching out to somebody and they're non-responsive, and you've been doing it
Yeah.
for years. It's tough, but they're your kids. You got to remember that no matter what, even though they're adults, you're still the parent. You're
Fact.
still the parent. And even though like I'm 57, and my daughters are in their 30s, but at the end of the day, when you're talking to them, they're still the same. They're still the same 10, 12-year old, 8, 9-year old that was hurt from from the things their mother was told, and the fact that she was told that they're told that because we weren't together that I abandoned them. They get all this stuff, but no, I didn't leave y'all. I left your mother.
Right.
So, but that's not the story that they're getting. And of course,
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and tell them why we're not together. because that's not gonna make anything any better.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I just continue, man, fighting for a relationship, and just listen to them. But once I wrote that letter to them, man, it broke the ice, and they start communicating, and we're
Gotcha.
doing better now. Like sometimes with Taryn, uh, the one who didn't never answer at all. Now she called me before I call her. Sometimes she's like, "Yeah, I beat you to it, huh?" It's like, "Yeah, I just about to call you."
That's what's
And
up.
so now, man, when they see me, man, they just hug me so tight. Say, "I love you, Dad." And I text them, like I said, I text them and call them, and they answer. If they don't answer, they'll call me back.
Right.
So it's good, man. It's worth it. Everything is going good, man. Even with my parents, because when they cut me off, they cut my parents off and my sister as well.
Oh
So
my
it wasn't just
gosh.
me. It wasn't just me. It was my parents as well and my sister.
Wow. I know that
Yeah.
destroyed your hearts.
So, oh yeah. So you know how parents are about their grandkids. So yeah, man. So we all suffered because of the untruths told, by the other parent.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just even though their intentions were to make me suffer, but
Right.
they never thought about the kids
The,
suffering
the, the residual.
along with
Yeah.
yeah, along with me and also my parents and my sister. The rest of the family suffered as well.
Right. Jesus. Well, I'm glad everything got worked out over time. I mean, it's still working itself out over time.
Yes.
But let's we can still get a little bit deeper. So, I mean, it doesn't just happen that two people don't get along, or you're incompatible after you've procreated and made a child. So
Mhm.
there got to be some reasons. What do you think some of the reasons are that co-parenting becomes so difficult? I mean, is it just full of egos? Is it people just wanting their way and want to be in control? What are some of those things that are occurring to cause such a rift in co-parenting?
Mhm. Well, one is communication.
Mm,
As men, we're always trying to keep the peace. We don't want to rock the boat, and so a lot
right,
of times when things need to be addressed, we don't really address it. We just kind of brush it over because we're trying to keep the peace. We don't want to address it, and so um, that stuff builds. It builds. So you're teaching the other parent that they can do whatever they want to do because they know that you don't want to rock the boat. You're trying to keep the peace. So they just kind of run amok. And so that's where you got to set boundaries. Because like my older two kids, man, I done got my life suspended. I done been to jail, all kind of stuff and blame, just went through hell being their father just because a lot of things their
right,
mother did. But on the back end too, Randy, is I'm accountable for some of that too because I didn't hold her accountable. I didn't enforce boundaries because I had
right,
enforced boundaries and held her in contempt on a lot of things. Then we would have never got to that point because she knew that I didn't want my kid's mother to go to jail, so I didn't hold her accountable a lot of things, and she knew that, and so she took advantage of that. So it's not all
right,
on her; it's on me too. It had a part in it because I had the opportunity to hold her accountable and set the boundaries and enforce them up front, but I didn't because I was trying to keep the peace, not rock the boat. And when there was no peace, and if I had rocked the boat earlier, I could have saved a lot of pain and a lot of time and a lot of time lost with my kids and hurt had I addressed it earlier because we could have nipped this in the bud early on when they were young instead of still dealing with the healing process um, 20, 30 years later. So,
I get it.
so a lot of that's on me as well, not just her.
Hmm. So setting the boundaries, enforcing the boundaries, and it ended up that you were being nice to not be the bad guy, and you being
Right.
nice in turn still caused you to be the bad guy
The bad guy. Right.
because because the goalpost kept moving.
Right.
So every time you
Right.
buck, now you're the bad guy. When, like you said, you should have just
Right.
taken. So, fellas, if there's a lesson in that, I mean, if you're gonna go through the process of getting court orders and stuff like that, you got to follow through with them. Otherwise, they don't mean the paper that
Nothing.
they're typed up on. If you're
Right.
not willing to take the other party to the carpet when they've been wrong. I'm not saying just you know call the cops on her for every little thing. But if it's something that y'all made an agreement and they're not sticking with it, hold them to the carpet for it. If it's affecting your
Right.
relationship with your children moving down the line. So I think that's very, very important.
Right.
Um, because like you said communication, because that's where a lot of damage starts when people don't talk and communicate about those boundaries. But you told me one thing that as we move into the next segment, in one of our conversations that, what is something that you do or that you were doing as the children were getting older whenever you communicated with their mother to make sure that even if there was a significant other in both homes, that everybody was on the same page. I thought that was a great idea when we were talking today. Could you mind sharing that? I don't want to tell them what it is. I'd rather for you, but you recall what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah. When I was married, and my children kids' mother was married, and there was some still untruths going on, and so to nip that in the bud, um, I called her husband, and I talked to my wife. I said, look, moving forward, to alleviate any misunderstandings, or to alleviate any untruths, whenever I call or we talk about the kids, I want all four of us on the phone together. That
Mm,
way, that alleviate any tension between her husband and I, or she and my wife,
right.
because we're gonna all hear the same story. And so that's what I did. We start every time she called, my wife is on the phone, and I made sure her husband's on the phone. If they weren't on the phone, then we weren't talking. And I started holding it to, if you going if they're not on the phone, you want to communicate, text me or email me. But if you want to have
Gotcha.
a verbal conversation, all four parties will be on the phone, and that's what I did. And it's kind of crazy. What's funny is, she and that husband, they're divorced, and they end up being divorced. And he and I buddies today. To this day, we talk once, twice a month, and we text we text each other every week. So we're
That's what
buddies.
men do.
And she's on her new husband. And because of that, because of the relationship that he and I developed because of that. And there were times when she tried to keep the kids from me, pulling the same old stunts. And she was married to him. He's like, no. He said, let that man see his kids, take them kids to see his, and he bring them to me. He said, stop playing. They got a good father. You stop being mean to that man for no reason. He's a good dude. So why are you doing this? Makes no sense. And so by he and I developed a relationship, man, he saved a lot of chaos. He
Mm,
reduced the chaos. Let's put it that way. He
right.
reduced the chaos because of his presence and the relationship we built, because of me suggesting that we all be on the phone, and so that built a level of trust between the two of us, and
Right.
also with my wife at the time, with him as well. So the three of us got along. It was only one person who wasn't happy about this situation.
Yeah, the one that wanted to
So
keep
yeah,
everybody divided for whatever reason.
yeah. So we kind of by doing that, you kind of take that power away from him. You reduce it you reduce that power significantly.
Right. And I get that, because that's definitely a way to co-parent better when all parties that that are involved in the children's lives can have a conversation where everybody's on the same page. That
Hmm.
way, there isn't anybody pulling, or like you said, any falsehoods being spread around about what's actually happening.
Hmm.
Because moving to that, because I think a lot of people, just like you said, you were creating a situation to where, because everyone was at the table, everyone knew what their responsibility was. So it wasn't about the relationship with their mother, but it was more of the responsibility of now parenting, because that relationship, for what it's worth, is no longer in place. And so it's all about the responsibility. And I heard you say something earlier, about making sure that the child is first,
Hmm.
uh, and not controlling that history. How, in conjunction with having those four-way conversations, because we can, neither one of us can, no one can control what's happening in someone else's household, but you can't control yours. Um, how did the kids respond to that?
The kids liked it. It made them more at ease. They felt more comfortable knowing that we all were communicating together, because
Mhm.
now because but think about it. In essence, there are four parents involved, because they're
Right.
two different households, and so when the kids are with their mom, they're in her household with her and her husband. When they're with me, they're me and my household, me and my wife. So there are
Right.
actually 4 parents involved. So it's the right thing to do for all of us to be engaged and know what dates when kids are coming in town or whatever we're doing or what they got going on and when we're going to be coming out of town or whatever. So it made the kids at ease because they felt like we were on one page, we was on one accord. And so that took a
Mhm.
lot of tension out of everything. And even with the kids my wife and I had, so it brought everybody a little closer. So, like I said, everybody was good except that one that one person that one party who didn't like that too much. And of
Right.
course, eventually, they got divorced. But I tell you what that did do is with the father, man, we became so close, man. It helped me a lot because I trusted him so much for taking care of my daughters. I knew he loved them as if they were his own. So that
Mm.
took a lot off of my chest to know that he would protect them.
Right.
So that I knew that he loved them just as much if they were his daughters. So I felt good knowing that they had someone like that in the house with them that would protect them. So
Right.
that that helped me out a whole lot. Took a lot of weight off of me because I used to stress about you know uh, their mother and as far as because at some point because at some point parents try to be so cool to let the kids go to anybody's house and do any other things, and with him being present, that didn't happen. He shut down a lot of things because he knew he got to know me and he loved them as his own, so he protected them on the level as being their father. So
Right.
there's certain things that she didn't get away with, even though I wasn't there. He held a line for me on my behalf, and he is as their stepfather.
That's what's up. People don't understand. I mean, if you can make those relationships work like that, it is so beneficial. Not only to the child but to everybody else involved. It's you kind of like you just said, that weight comes off your shoulder because you can sleep at night knowing
Hmm.
that someone else is gonna put their foot down the same way that you put your foot down. No, these
Hmm.
type of things are not going to happen here because
Right.
for one, I'm not going to let it happen, and I know your daddy wouldn't let it happen either. So we're not
Hmm.
even going to go down that route. And that's what's up. I'm glad that there was a man and a stepfather that was able to step in that gap when you were fighting those battles
Hmm.
with their mother. Um, and that taught your children a lot because I'm pretty sure now they look at relationships a lot differently than they did because they saw what a broken relationship was. They
Yes.
saw what a one-sided relationship was, and they saw what it looked like when two parents started to work together for their benefit.
Yes.
So I give you your flowers because a lot of men would have crumbled going through what you went through for all those years. Just trying to maintain that relationship and stay, present, omnipresent in your children's life, especially those girls. I mean, your son is the youngest
Yeah.
one, so this is happening with those girls who, you know,
Hmm.
we know our daughters need, examples,
Right.
of men that they need to be looking at to how when they get ready to settle down and start their family. So, my
Right.
hats off to you for the work that you put in to preserve those relationships with your children. Because a lot of fathers, that I run into, they have the of the thought process where forget about them. They don't care nothing about me. They ain't gonna care nothing about them. But like you said, at the end of the day, they're adults, but you're still the parent.
Mhm. Right.
You get that clicked in my mind too. Yeah, I got grown kids, but I'm still the parent. So,
Right.
right, wrong, or indifferent, it is my responsibility as a father to try to rectify situations, you know, even if you don't feel like that you were in the wrong,
Right.
because we're showing our children how to force through relationships and through issues. Um, what was I say, and through all of that, what was the crowning moment for you in the midst of all of this when things really, when you really just took that deep breath and realized that everything was going to be okay?
Um, it was two things. First was Father's Day 2024. We had a family reunion, and actually, I was hosting that Sunday morning service that we had, and So when I was talking to just asking any of the kids, anybody want to, well, not just kids, but anybody want to come up and say something about their fathers. And so, of course, I had plenty of cousins that came up and old and young, just talk about their fathers, like you said, give them their
Mhm.
flowers. And my kids were there, and they came up, and each one of them spoke and said things nice, good things about me. And my oldest, she spoke last, and she said, "Dad, thank you for loving us when we didn't love you back."
Hmm.
And that was a crowning moment, man. And there was not a dry eye in the house. And even now I get emotional just talking about it. And so it made it was worth it. It was worth it, man. And um, they came and hugged me, man. And it was just like I said, we were driving the house, but just to hear them say that, to acknowledge what they had done, to own
Right.
own their part of
Mhm.
the dysfunction or whatever. So, and that was a healing moment because even with them that wasn't easy because just think
Yeah.
they just weren't having a conversation with me. There's over 100 people in that room.
Right.
So for them to have the strength and the courage to actually do that, that was amazing. And so yeah, man, I was crying like a little girl, man. Yeah, but it was but it was tears of joy. 'Cause like you
Right.
said, man, I had been fighting for them in our relationship for years, not just a couple of years, for a long time. And just
Right.
to hear uh, my daughter say that, and for them to give me my flowers on that day, man, yeah, it was a crowning moment. And also too, what just happened recently, my oldest daughter had a gender reveal on this past Sunday, and
Mm.
so I'm going to be a grandfather for the first time. It's going to be a boy, so I'm
Congratulations
excited,
again.
excited. And this God he couldn't have prepared me for this. This was the first time I had seen my oldest two kids' mother. Haven't seen her in 9 years. This was the
Mm.
first time since I called our wedding off in '94 that we've been in the same place without any tension between us. There's no tension between us. I walked up, she said my name in a little sarcastic kind of funny way, and we
Hmm.
spoke and whatever. And as the day went on, we communicating about you know uh, food and moving stuff around or whatever, trying to make this thing good. And the whole
Hmm.
time, what I realized, man, we were both focused on my daughter and her fiance and the baby, the birth of our grandson.
Right.
And so, and what I realized, Randy, at that time, I realized that we weren't the same people. And I
Yeah.
realized that we didn't carry that old baggage. That weight went on our shoulder this time. I
Hmm.
was who I came as the man who I had grown to be. She came as a woman and a mother that she had grown to be. And
Right.
so, and we operated in those two new people, and so there was no tension. We got along, and it was funny because one of my Taryn. I was asking Jawan. I was like, "Hey, um, are you ready for me to pray over the food so we can get to the so we can get to my grandson, let everybody know I'm having a grandson." And
Right.
so my daughter, she says, this the first time y'all agreed on something. I said, I said, no, it's the second time. I said, you here, right? And her mother said, right. And so, man, we took pictures together, and she always had said that we ain't gonna take no pictures together. And the mother said, we never take pictures together, whatever. Man, we took pictures together, man. I helped her load a car. We
Okay.
laughed. When I said my grandson, she said, excuse me. I said, well, I'm sorry, our grandson. So she was very jovial, man, and she was a different
Mm.
person.
That's
She was
what's
a different
up.
person, man, and I saw that, and and like I said, that's the first time in years since 1994, man, that we had been in the same room, been together, and there was no tension between us. And so, man, God, there's no way, bro. I wouldn't have never expected that. I don't know what I was expecting,
Mhm.
but that,
Yeah,
yeah,
you can descript that.
I could have scripted that, and it was good, man. And the whole time, the kids are watching us. My parents are watching us. Her, My sisters were watching us.
Mhm.
Um, my kids' mother's siblings was watching. Everybody was watching us because they knew the tension that had been between us and some of the things that had happened that weren't good. And so to see us operate in that manner, man, it made it for a joyous occasion, man. It really did. Because you know we were focused on our daughter,
Right.
and I was healed. I had I had prayed and forgiven her the stuff that happened, and but the thing is, I didn't really know that I was healed and forgiving her until I saw her, because that's the
Mhm.
test. When you there,
Yeah.
you might say, "Yeah, I forgive her. I'm good. God healed me and all this stuff." Yeah, I hear you. But until you're face to face and y'all are there in each other's presence, you don't know that you're truly healed. And so when there was no tension between us, man, and I had no animosity towards her, no ill feelings in my heart towards her, then I know
Right.
I was healed and that we had both moved forward.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Congratulations, man. That's. I hope
Thank
this
you.
inspires people out there that are trying to battle through this co-parenting thing. Hey, listen, co-parenting may not always be peaceful,
No,
but you can still be intentional about it. You can still be
right,
present, and you can still lead, even when it gets
right.
difficult. So, if this conversation spoke to you, please share it with another father who needs to hear this message. And if you're ready to grow as a man, please join us at the Restore, Renew, Revive community. And also tune into the Black Fathers Table with myself and Theron Hobbs as we try to answer and give you as much information on becoming a positive father in your children's life to help you through these obstacles and hurdles. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate your time. And until the next one, y'all have a good one.
Good night.
Healing hearts and family trees. This is the Black Father's table. Standing strong, we stay faithful. From the pain, we create legacy. And it starts at the table.